CES 2024 is fully underway, January 9th through the 12th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today is the 9th, so you're going to be hearing a lot of interesting things out there, different products that are coming out or possibly not coming out, things that you can't afford or things that just will never exist for whatever reason. Like a lot of companies use this show to showcase new technology, and sometimes nothing comes of it, right? But there is a company I want to talk about today who has showcased something at CES that I find interesting, but I'm a little wary. I'm a little concerned. That company is Hyperkin. So Hyperkin, I used to think of them as a retro gaming company, but not so much anymore. I look at them more as a company who makes Xbox controllers because that's all I see of them lately. Is stuff to do with the Xbox. I don't really see too much with retro gaming anymore. They might do a few things, but kind of maybe it flies under the radar for me. But they used to put out like a lot of clone consoles, the Retron HD, Super Retron, Mega Retron, so on and so forth. Clone consoles for the NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and that's kind of how I was aware of them. They made the Retron 5, which I found useful in a sense that like it was an emulator console, but it used, cartridges. I like it because you could use it to back up saves and restore them on cartridges. So it's a tool as well. However you think of, Hyperkin, that's fine. Some people like them, some people don't. Some of their products kind of hit and miss, right? But these guys, they have a little track record of announcing things and then just nothing ever happens with it. The Hyperkin Ultra Game Boy was announced like over 5 years ago. We haven't heard nothing of it. I don't think it's ever coming out, right? So these guys, they keep doing this. They announce things, nothing ever comes of it. And then, we get reminded when they announce another thing that maybe will come out, won't come out. We're going to talk about that thing because maybe it'll come out what they announced this time. But you had that, the Ultra Game Boy. What about the Hyperkin Ultra Retron, the Nintendo 64 that they announced, a couple years back? We haven't heard anything of this. It was going to use emulation, I believe, and it did look a little wonky. Some of the video footage, the pictures that they showed out there, like Mario Kart 64 wasn't being emulated properly. So, hey, maybe it got scrapped. Maybe they realized, like, hey, we can't steal other people's emulators that don't have a commercial use, clause or whatever. We can't do that anymore because we've been caught. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they were developing it on their own. Maybe they licensed an emulator. Maybe it just doesn't have the full compatibility to the higher standards that they wanted. I don't know. But this thing hasn't come out. People were intrigued by it. I was intrigued by it. I always like clone consoles to a degree, but maybe nowadays that market is kind of dissipated because so many of these clone consoles, not the emulation ones, but the ones that would use where they would clone the hardware. They'd be like a system on a chip. A lot of them, they couldn't get the colors right, sound right for many systems, compatibility with things like flash carts and certain new cartridges, homebrews, re-releases, ROM hacks. It was kind of up in the air, you know what I mean? So then you got things where FPGA started becoming more prominent, Analog putting out their higher end clone consoles, there being other options to just run your ROMs like Mister and stuff like that. So maybe some of these companies aren't really seeing this as, worthwhile anymore. Maybe, I don't know, because there's just so many options that are quality out there. But I still welcome, like, bring this stuff out. Let us be the judge. But yeah, it costs them money to do so, right? So you had that, the Ultra 64, whatever it was going to be called. And then, like, a year or so ago, I don't remember how, it's been a little while, like over a year, they announced the Retron GX. This is the only one where I've really seen them bring it back up recently. And that was last September. They brought up, hey, you can try it out at PAX West, right? And that's the Retron GX, the clone PC Engine TurboGrafx console. Is that still coming out? No, I mean, Analog just came out with their Duo. If you bring this out as a cheap option, maybe people will be interested. I don't know. They released these damn controllers. I can't remember what the controller was called, but here's the problem. These companies, man, they release controllers and they suck balls because the D-pad is garbo, like really bad. This D-pad, from what I remember, isn't that great. I don't have one anymore. But so many people complained about the D-pad. The only reason people buy them anymore is to get the PC Engine adapter. I don't know. Like, if you're a company who makes controllers and you make controllers for retro games, for retro consoles, Like, have people who actually play these games test the controllers before you release them. I don't know, just a thought. But these fools, they're on it again. So I saw this morning. They have the Mega 95, which looks interesting. It's quite obvious what this is. A Genesis handheld, like the Sega Nomad. There's another company who teased like an actual Sega Nomad looking handheld a while back, and that was Retrobit. I'm still hopeful that comes out because Retrobit works with Sega. That would be really cool if Sega signs off on that and we get an actual re-release of the Nomad and it's Sega branded, manufactured by Retrobit. That would be awesome. But we haven't heard too much of that recently. But Hyperkin, they just showed this off, and I do think it looks neat, but it's beyond a handheld. And this is the one thing. Like if a company's putting out a handheld that plays cartridges, I want to check it out. So the Mega 95, they only have a couple pictures out there. According to this Verge article, say the Mega 95 is a new gaming handheld for Hyperkin that's designed to play original Genesis and Mega Drive cartridges. It's equipped with a 5-inch display that has a toggle switch for 4, 3, 16, 9. So, you know, they had like the Superboy, very similar thing, right? The Superboy is kind of like, could have a better screen. I don't know. Like, it's fine. Like, if you're a guy or a girl or, you know, whatever, going out there and, you know, retro game hunting maybe, or wherever you take the Superboy with you, pop, you know, hey, I want to test this cartridge out first, you know, pop it in, try it out, make sure it works. The other thing you should bring with you is some game bit drivers, make sure boards are actually legit at places, especially for the more rarer games. But, you know, that was handy with that handheld. But, you know, I'm hoping the quality of this, if it actually comes out, is better than that. But they state that it has a battery that Hyperkin says should last 10 hours per charge. It's a modern take on the Nomad. The handheld looks to be a portable version of Hyperkin's Mega Retron HD, the existing Genesis compatible console that released 2018, which now sells for $59.99. That one was okay, I think. I actually didn't hate on that console too much, but it's still not 100% accurate. It doesn't use emulation. It was a actual system on a chip type of situation, but it still wasn't 100% accurate. The Genesis is very difficult to get accurate with sound, especially. But it was still fairly competent. I would hope there'd be some improvements if that's the same chipset they're using for this. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what comes of this. But they have this USB-C dock, which I think is intriguing. Now you have a Genesis Switch, right? You could dock it. Look at that. You got the controller ports on the front, plug it into your TV and start playing, pop it off, play on the go. I like that. I hope this is not just like Hyperkin, like, we're just messing around with stuff. Who knows? Like, because all this other stuff I just talked about, we don't know when it's coming out or if it's ever coming out. These guys are the masters of that. Let's announce something that looks kind of interesting and then never talk about it again, or it never gets released. I don't know when they're like what their business plan is. Like, is it like 10 years out? Like, okay, we'll announce something 5 years ago and it'll come out in 8 years. I don't freaking know. I don't know. But this looks intriguing if they get the controls right. I actually think their Genesis controller wasn't too bad, if I remember correctly. I haven't used some of this stuff in a while. But yeah, that's pretty much all they have on here. I thought this was interesting. I'm hopeful it comes out. I'll buy one. Hyperkin doesn't send me anything for review. They rarely ever had. So if they do put this out there, I'll buy it, check it out. Hopefully it's cool. Hopefully the price is reasonable. I mean, I could see maybe $99.99. I don't know. You tell me, what do you think this thing should cost? Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think of this. Bye.